You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
Hey there, Screen Beans. Have you heard about Screen Snark?
Rachel, this is an ad break. They aren't Screen Beans until they listen to the show.
Fine. Potential Screen Beans. You like movies and TV shows, right?
I mean, who doesn't? Screen Snark is a casual conversation about the movies and television shows that are shaping us as we live our everyday lives.
That's right, Matt. We have a chat with at least one incredible guest every episode, hailing from all walks. We've interviewed chefs,
Writers, costumers, musicians,
yoga teachers, comedians, burlesque dancers,
folks in the film and TV industry,
and more.
We'd be delighted for you to join us every other Monday on the Certain POV Podcast Network.
Or wherever you get your podcasts, fresh and tasty off the presses.
What? That's not...
Can I call them Screen Beans now?
Fine.
Screen Beans!
So tune in and we'll see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere.
'Cause you're all Screen Beans now.
She will be mine. Aurora.
Welcome, listeners. Welcome, JV Pickers. Host Sway here, back with working together to bring you a playlist worth getting lost to by our collective brain trust. This week's theme is 90s hip-hop. So grab your quarters, pick your dibs. Geek Elite Media presents Jukebox Vertigo. We have a very special table round this episode. Oh, I'm so fucking excited. Please, everybody, please, shut up. Welcome. T-Dog.
Yeah. He lives.
The triumph and return of T-Dog.
Woo! Man, it's good to be back.
Keith, as course, as always, Keith join us in the conversation as well. Keith is here as well. Buddy, how you been? I've missed you so much.
Yeah.
To T-Dog, I missed you so much.
I miss you guys too, man. There was a whole lot of nights there in the hospital. I was like, man, I got to get back to the show.
I'm sure that was the number one priority on your mind.
Because it was, man. I was sitting there and like nurses trying to hold me down. I was like fighting them off. I was like, no, get off
I
me,
gotta talk
doctor.
music.
Right.
There was a couple times I was picking stuff for the playlist, and I would say on the show, all right, this one's for T-Dog because he's not here and he's the only person as old as me.
Right.
Or like I put
man.
NWA on, and I was like, yeah, T-Dog would have done this. Like I think it was vulgar.
Oh yeah.
Lyrics, and I put fuck
the police.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, T-Dog would have done that.
Indeed. And my stance hasn't changed. Indeed, still fuck the police. It's strange that hasn't changed in all the months I've been gone.
No, every single time the Keith would pull that, I would think about it for a second and be like, oh, T-Dog's in the episode. I'd open my eyes and be like, oh, T-Dog's not in the episode. But thanks for the shout out. Thanks for the pick. No, this is such a treat. We try to make this a full OG table for the sake of the event. Sadly, Crozen couldn't be here tonight, but this could be a rotating. We could come back to for this episode again. Why not talk about more 90s hip hop?
Yeah.
And the reason why it's so special for the new batch of listeners is that this was actually the first category we ever started kind of doing this, kind of throwing music around like together. In this kind of what I now call our collective brain trust. 90s hip hop was like the first category that we were just like, hey, give me two songs. And then after that, it started spawning every week. And it's like, cool. So this is very special that we have T-Dog after him being just like not being in the show for so long. So it's like, yes, we do have some sense of OG-ness into the episode.
Right.
But before we get to all that, before we get to the sweet page, let's talk about some recommendations. We were gone for quite a while. Sorry for the late episode. And in this case, I have 3 weeks worth of music to talk about, but it's actually not a long list because I actually needed the extra week to make it like my usual list. So here I go. The only single to really shout out this week that came out this last week was Little Bubblegum. I called out Little Bubblegum a couple of weeks ago, a few months ago on, I already forgot the name of that song, but this one's called Love Last. And off the bat, it really just like kind of came at me on my phone because it was a song that I think was kind of like dropped, or not dropped, but like it was taken down and then re-uploaded because it had an original cover art for the single. And again, with who I thought would be the girl rapper called Lil Bubblegum. It makes sense, right? No. So it gets taken down and gets re-uploaded with a picture with the brunette from Saved by the Bell, basically. And with like the logo, Love Lasts, kind of saying as like Saved by the Bell.
Kapowski here?
Yes, Kapowski. Thank you, Kapowski.
T-Dog are like, we're old enough, we got this.
Yeah. So it's Kapowski on the cover art. So hey, you should go listen to it just on that alone, because he kind of sounds like my voice. Not only not as sad or not as depressed or not as like low. He has a little bit more of an upness to his voice. But a little bubblegum with Love Lasts. After that, there's a EP. I didn't think I was gonna get so soon, but Atmosphere with Word ? Side B. I listened to side A, and I was waiting for side B. And again, I did say I would give a proper review once I got side B. But then I started digging into it, and apparently he's releasing. He's gonna have a new album called with Word ? But instead of releasing singles, he's releasing like his music in EP format. So I'll come back actually to it once it's actually fully released. Then Nas had King's Disease number 2. Mm-hmm. It was good. I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying it's bad, but I've been I guess all of 2021. And Keith, I think you were the one that texted this on our chat, and I don't know what it was, and it kind of correlates to what you said, what you said in the text. But 2021 has given me this effect where whenever a new album gets released, I really want to listen to the last one that came out.
Yep.
Like Nas came out, and all I've been listening to is the Isaiah Rashad "The House Is Burning" album, because that album is so fucking good.
I'll be talking about that later.
Okay, good. So I have been trying to push myself to listen to. I did listen to the Nas I threw it on 3 times. It is good, but every single time I'm like, oh man. And then when the Isaiah Rashad album came out, I was only going back to the Vince Staples album. So there was that. Like all 3 albums are fantastic. Give them all a go. After that, what I got? Oh man, I skipped over an EP. I didn't do this in the right order. Anyway, new indie band called In the Morning with the U have At What Cost deluxe EP, and these are kind of like, it's a re-release of the song At What Cost, and there's some like not remixes or reproduced versions of At What Cost, and it is a cool band. Like at least like you listen to the original song, to the studio version, and it is like that kind of like that femme front punk band. It sounds awesome. Like I love the clean vocals, sound great. And then the last track, it's a cover of Avril Lavigne's "Complicated," and it actually turned out really, really good. So give it a shot. It's called In the Morning with the U, so kind of sad. And then jumping up to a great instrumental album. Man, I read my comics to this shit, and it just elevated my fucking reading experience. But Serge motherfucking Tankian with cinematic series Illuminate. Bro, his piano work on this shit, magical. Like, it's like we all want the next System of a Down album that we're all just like fucking owed basically at this point. But the man has just been wanting to work on his own music for this since he's gone solo. And this is the cool shit that he's been kind of like talking about, that he's been screaming about, like, leave me alone, let me do my thing. This is that fucking thing. Like, oh man, definitely give it a go when you just need some like background noise, some background music. Cinematic series Illuminate by Serge Tankian was really fucking dope. Now to some newer stuff. The Killers with Pressure Machine.
Yes.
I very much enjoyed this album. I still prefer last year's album just because it is like the more like rock album, like more dancey one.
The one they wish they could have toured on.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, yeah. That one. But Pressure Machine, I was just entranced by Brandon Flowers. His vocal work in this whole album was magnificent. Mm-hmm. Was really, really, I mean, like the whole band experience is really good too. But he really stood out on just like his vocal work, his lyricism was just really fucking good. The second song was just like I can't remember I can't pull it up right now. But the second song, he's doing such a Springsteen style of like singing that it's just like,
Play It Down.
Which one?
Quiet Town.
Yes. He does such a Springsteen approach to this song that it's like people don't talk about fucking Brandon and as much as they should. As much as people should be talking about this fucking man. There's so many classes. I mean, so many like people who are relevant now, like your Sam Smiths and everybody like that. But people just talk about the Killers, but they don't emphasize on how fucking great Brandon Flowers is. Oof. And this album was great. I did go with the original one first, but then obviously it was all like the talking tracks before the leading up to each track. Mm-hmm. So then after a while, I just started playing the abridged version. So I'm thankful that they actually released that version as well.
Yeah, it's so I'll just save me talking about it later because I'm also going to talk about it. It's very much Sam's Town compared to the other albums. Like it's not Hot Fuss, it's Sam's Town.
Yeah.
And if you really like Sam's Town, that's for you. I know a lot of people like the Killers for Hot Fuss. They want Somebody Told Me. They want, all the songs they know, but I like their singer-songwriter stuff quite a bit. So
I really enjoyed it. It was not a bad album, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, okay, I'm gonna skip these around so I can go into the transition. But one of my personal favorite bands, The Joy Formidable, came out with Into the Blue, and this one is a little bit more calmer, but they're still fucking rocking around. Like there's still this like so much like awesome noise coming out of this like trio band, and I actually like that the bassist is actually approaching the mic more now instead of just having her singing throughout the whole album, which is still great. It's kind of why I'm here for the band. But it was still a good album. I need to give it another go. I probably will be talking about it again next week. Because then, let's go into my personal favorite album of the week, which was Deaf Haven. Deaf Haven with Infinite Granite. This was really fucking great. I fucking love Deaf Haven. They're kind of, I mean, like post black metal. Like it's so extreme to call them metal when they're not, but not really hard rock. But okay, so this album, it was more like black shoegazy. And this album was very much that. And like, this really should have been a self-titled it's basically like if Deftones and Sea Haven came together and made this album in particular for Deaf Haven, but it's by Deaf Haven. Oh man. And right now I have the song The Gnashing just like in my brain. It has such a good hook. Like the way this guy just like comes in with like the chorus. I found like my new favorite late night driving music is this fucking album. Like it's just the noise I've been craving since, because I mean I'm still rocking Mare from Hard Cure for the Sky, but I needed something new. I needed a new project. Oh god, I fucking love this one so goddamn much. So definitely Deaf Haven, Infinite Granite, give that shit a go. And then lastly, transitioning over, Solar Power by Lorde.
Yes.
It took me forever to listen to the singles, and in the end, I'm kind of happy that I kind of waited to kind of get my little samples, and then now the album is here. Because like we were pre-show, we were talking about how this album is getting some mixed rap over it being a little too happy for Lorde, or it's not really her style, whatever the fuck.
God forbid she smile.
Yeah, God forbid she smiles. It's still a fucking Lorde album. Yeah, it's slightly happier, but every single underlining tone to most of the songs are still pretty fucking dark. And so I love that it's still herself, even though she's trying to cast a new light on this album. So props to her. I very much enjoyed it, especially because I was expecting the happy album that everybody was saying, but I'm like listening to it, I'm like, are people actually listening? Like it's still there. It's still all there. Those are basically all of my all the shit that I listened to. T-Dog, can you please tell our listeners what kind of music you listen to? What kind of music you like? I know that you also make music, so if you kind of want to incorporate a little bit of that, speak a little bit about yourself and all your music endeavors, and then to close it off with anything that you've been listening to.
So I am show indefinitely is actually 100% my category. Old school hip hop head. Started doing hip hop back in like the late 80s, early 90s. Done it ever since. for those who may not know, because we're on a new network now, so a lot of your listeners may not have heard me before. So, T-Dog, I go by an MC name by the name of BBS Fresh. We make Earthborn hip hop, and yeah, man, hip hop has always been my one true love. Now, with that said, I love all music. The only music I can't really go down to is country. So any country, song or episode we have is going to be my lacking episode there. But nothing against country. I mean, everything, I have love for every type of music. Just the one type I don't really vibe on. But yeah, man, everything I dig. I mean, I listened to everything growing up. I listened to oldies, rock, all the classic shit. Like, I was lucky to have a big Mexican family, so all of my cousins listened to something different. So my parents listened to gangster oldies, and my uncles listened to like classic rock. My grandparents listened to nothing but norteño, rancho music. You know what I'm saying? So so I listened to everything growing up, and I love it all. As far as what I've been listening to, man, I'm gonna touch on the Nas album too, man. He had a new song featuring Lauryn Hill, and for those of you who don't know, if you get Lauryn Hill to feature on any song now, you might as well just be Jesus. Might as well be Jesus featuring Lauryn Hill, because that shit was dope. Yeah, man, just Nas at his best. Lauryn Hill still, hasn't put out an album in like 20 years, and still, like, she's fucking amazing, man. She can't be touched.
Also, you're fucking lucky if you got her to come out to do anything.
Yeah. If you get Lauryn Hill to like even come to your state, then you got some clout. So Nas got Lauryn Hill on the album. So for those of you who don't know, man, that's a big deal. So hopefully they got some young cats listening out there that realize how big a deal it is that Nas got Lauryn on a track. But that's pretty much the new stuff I've been listening to. I've been kind of in a weird space lately because those who don't know, I've been in the hospital the last few months. So I really haven't heard anything new because I feel like I was doing time, to be honest with you. It was like when you're locked up and, you're in the yard just, doing all types of sit-ups and, a bunch of cardio, working on the yard, trying not to get raped. It's pretty much what being in the hospital was like. Just me avoid not getting raped for months on end. So
gotta watch out for those nurses.
Hey, man. They're sneaky. They have all the drugs, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, next thing you know, you drop, you pick something up, you bend over. Like, oh man, let me get my scarf. And next thing you know, no, that's how it happens. Man. That's what I'm saying.
That's what they're opening the back. It's
yes. Like, okay. I don't know if you've ever been bathed by a man while you're in a wheelchair, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close.
Nice. Okay, T-Doc, I fucking missed having you on the show so goddamn much.
I fucking missed you too, man.
I'm like, are we taking this bit a little too far? On the inside, I'm like, but this feels right. This feels like home. Right. I wish I could hug you, D-Dog.
I hug the shit out of all you, man.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And Keith, what have you been listening to since the last episode?
I'm going to touch on 3 albums, really.
Yes.
Lord, I'll give my opinion. I enjoyed it. It's a good, easy listen.
Mm-hmm.
I like her voice. It's very much an album I would listen to while laying on the beach, not surfing, which we all know is a different genre entirely for me.
Right.
But it's definitely a chill on the beach kind of album. So I really liked it. Obviously, the single Solar Power, I love her vocals when she's just singing Solar Power over and over. The layers they put on it, it's just gorgeous. I absolutely love that. So I also listened to the Isaiah Rashad album. Yeah, that's just a good ass hip hop album.
Bro, the fucking song Headshots. Oh, yeah. I can't get over that song. It's probably one of my new favorite songs. I think it's arguably top 3 songs of like the year for me. It's just so, and the music video to that one. Ooh, sorry, but go ahead.
No, it's just good shit. It's just good. I mean, I don't have much to say about it. I really enjoyed listening to it, is what I'll say. So, the other one I want to talk about that you didn't bring up at all. And me and our co-host Daniel talked about this a little bit. Fatboy Slim came out with a new album.
Oh, I totally glossed over that one. That's right. Oh, please tell me about it.
It's called Everybody Loves a Mixtape Volume 1, Welcome Home.
Oh, okay.
And it's just a bunch of mixes he did. And the one that jumps out at me is a song I didn't really like. I don't like Lizzo very much.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a mix up with Juice by Lizzo and Pinky by, was it Papa Marlin? I can't remember, but it's actually really cool. I really dug it. But yeah, it's a bunch of like it literally and it's seamless transition between tracks. So you could go to a club, go up to the DJ booth, press play, and everyone would be dancing for like an hour and some.
Okay.
So like it's very, very smooth transition between the tracks, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, I know Daniel's our more techno dance music person, so
Yeah.
I put him onto it, and I'm going to see what he thinks about it. But yeah, I thought that was a really interesting one to listen to. So, the only other thing I wanted to give a shout out is rest in peace to one of the most underrated singer-songwriters in music, which is Tomty Hall. He's an old school country singer, and he did pass away. It didn't make very big news, but a lot of people I know that listen to old school country, they were all freaking out about it. Tomty Hall's amazing. He is mostly known nowadays as the guy who did That's How I Got to Memphis, which is a really, really good song. And the lyrics are just incredible. A lot of people know it because it was featured on the last episode of The Newsroom, and which is probably my favorite show of all time, actually. And it's just it's just this sweet song, and it's if you love somebody, if you go wherever she goes, that's how I got to Memphis. That's how I got to Memphis. Like, it's just as simple as it gets, and like it's so good. Like, I love it. So yeah, rest in peace to him. That's just that was a brutal one, because as a songwriter especially, because I tend to like the covers of his songs more than his versions, but they're his songs. So, but yeah, I wanted to wrap it up with that. So
nice. No, that's a good closer. Yeah, definitely a lot of good recommendations out there. Like, it's really kind of. Whenever I come back to listening to, I'm like, okay, let me take a fucking. I always put a pause to it since I recorded it, so I don't really have to like go through the whole thing. Obviously, I'm going to finish it, but I do consider some recommendations, which is why I do love this first segment. But now it's time to add the new page to the jukebox. 90s hip hop, which I definitely want to come back to around again, because I actually had too many picks this time around, which I usually never do. I usually kind of have my set and then my extra just in case. I'm pretty sad that you guys aren't going to take them. But in this case, this is a big one. I was just a child during the 90s. So I only had my radio, and even then, like the radio edit picks that would be allowed to be played around me, around the car, or sometimes it would be slipped. We would go to El Golfo, so when we go to El Golfo, anything goes, anything will be played. So I kind of get into those jams then there. But I mean, like, it's not like I could go and be like, I need to go listen to Ready to Die by Biggie. Like I didn't know that. I didn't have that. Getting down to, I mean, hopefully no spoilers or spoilers, but like Suicidal Thoughts or like fucking Warning wasn't like a fucking set thing in my brain to be like, that's a dope song I gotta go listen to. It wasn't a thing for me. So for you guys were for sure like actually like kids or like registering, getting into music for this side of hip hop. So how was it exploring, getting to know like, this is my shit, this is my music to go to, like T-Dog?
Okay, so some of this is going to have to be prefaced as far as like where we grew up. So I grew up here in Yuma. And so for those you don't know, for those in the, podcast radio land, Yuma had nothing. Like literally when, in the 90s, when, all this stuff was coming out, you couldn't buy it anywhere. There was one music store here that I think it was Bebop. Is that what it was called back from there? I can't remember.
It was Bebop's, and then what? D&H? No,
D&H wasn't around then either.
Oof, okay.
Yeah, so this is before that. So they had Bebop. And then this before Hastings was here and all that other stuff. So like if you had to go, find a record or whatever, this back when the shit was still on tapes. So if you had to buy a new tape, you went down there, and then maybe they had it, maybe they didn't. So my lifeline before all this happened was literally MTV Raps. So before, if you remember, before this came out, before MTV was actually all about, when it actually showed music videos, all day was rock and like pop and top 40 and stuff. And then for 1 hour every Friday at midnight, they had MTV Raps. And as a kid, I would go and I would sit there and I would get my boombox and buy a fresh tape at the store, or steal a fresh tape, and sit there and put my boombox up to the TV. And I recorded MTV Raps and just like had to pause it while they had commercials on or whatever. So it was me holding the boombox up to, the TV, recording this. And this is how I got exposed to everything. And back in the day, man, like every episode of MTV Raps was a new shit. Like this was back when like you had a, I'll use Biggie as an example. So Biggie's first album came out, and nowadays you have a top 40 show. It's going to be the same artist every week or whatever, and then a few new sprinkles in there. Back then, you have the brand new episode of MTV Raps, and there would maybe be like one track by whoever was popular, and then 20 other songs by people you had no idea who they were. So then, and this before there was internet too. So I'm taking you way back. So if there was new artists I had to learn about, like somebody came on that I never heard of before, I literally had to go to the library and try to use the resources I found there to try to find information about these people, So awesome. It was one of those things where it's the first passion I ever had other than like comics was this end. Cause like I couldn't get it anywhere here. I remember listening to this stuff made me an outcast back in the day because, my parents didn't understand it. Nobody understood what you were listening to. If you went out and you listened to this type of music in public, you were actually thought of as, a gangster. And I had, I was maybe like 10 at the time or whatever, and literally had cops pulling over to like harass me about the music that I was listening to on my boombox or whatever when I was outside, So it was like what I would picture punk music was, to that new set of kids who would have first heard it. Like he was like, no, this is my statement of rebellion. Like this is who I am. Fuck society. This is what it is, And yeah, man. That. So this is like how I got started with that. And that kind of like shaped everything I did throughout my life, really. Just kind of like that mindset and learning about the culture kind of influenced everything I did now. And like, even to this day, like if it wasn't for hip hop, I wouldn't have a son. Like all the friends I have and all my relationships and every meaningful relationship I have stem from hip hop more than another. Like even you guys I met because, I met Jesse. And, I met Jesse because of the music, that we listen to or whatever. And that's just one thing we bonded on. If I hadn't met him, if I didn't listen to his music, we wouldn't have that thing to bond on. I wouldn't have met you guys. I wouldn't have a son if I hadn't, met his mother through, music or whatever. So yeah, I owe everything to hip hop, man. It's one of the great loves of my life.
I fucking love that, dude. I love that so goddamn much. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And Keith, how was hip hop? How's the 90s hip hop / rap for you?
So I was actually not really into hip hop in the 90s. I really hit, honestly, about 2001 is when I really started listening to hip hop. So just missed the 90s. But in the 90s, there was a certain amount of unavoidable hip hop. That we talk about, that's considered the golden era of hip hop is the late 80s throughout the 90s. That's the golden era. So it's kind of like, there's certain songs I couldn't avoid, and I've definitely gone back retrospectively and appreciated them, and listened to a lot. I have my tendencies when it comes to 90s hip hop, which you guys are probably aware of from previous shows we've done together, which will be addressed in my playlist. It really was the first time it became mainstream. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it was on Total Request Live and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. And it was like, if you told someone not 30 years before that, 7 years before that, it would be unthinkable. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of interesting how quickly hip hop evolved over one decade. And that's one of the reasons I really liked this category was like, I mean, we started off with shit like Vanilla Ice. And look what we got too. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane to me. So it's just fascinating. It's a really fascinating time in music. So, and there's so much there. I love it.
Yeah. I cannot wait to start. Let's just start sharing. So I organized mine based on release dates. So hopefully you guys don't take mine because then they'll.
Oh, I'm totally taking yours.
You're ruining my flow here. So for my first one, I'm starting out in taking it back to 93. To 93 till infinity, baby. Souls of Mischief. 93 till infinity is a great goddamn fucking song. The whole album is fucking great, but just the beat to that alone, like that scratch, like god damn it, it just takes me back. I just have this overwhelming like sensation of nostalgia just by that beat alone. And fun fact, that album was actually released on the day my sister was born, on September 28, 1993. So that was actually pretty dope. I don't know if she knows that. I should let her know. Probably buy her the record and then give it to her. But then I'm gonna want to keep. I'll buy 2 records so I can have one, and then she can have the other one as a gift. But this fucking song just rules. I just love when it's like a good flow of like, in the sense of hip hop, when it's like a group. It was a group and like they're posse, and like they're just like, it's not just like the verse, let's get into like the chorus, next guy. I love it when they just like, when it's just done and the other one just takes it over. I love a good rap flow from one MC to another. So that's my first one, Souls of Mischief, with 93 So Infinity. T-Dog, where do you take it from there?
So my pick is actually going to be right in the your wheelbase too, man, because this is going to be a group that was actually homies with Souls of Mischief, and that's going to be the Far Side, Passing Me By. So they were part of the same crew, Delicious Vinyl crew back in the 93 era, from, I think Northern Cali is where they hail from, whatever. But Pass Me By is one of those tracks that, is just 100% always going to be like the soundtrack of my childhood. Really dope track. And, if you haven't heard of it, starts off with a really cool sample. Actually, a whole bunch of good samples, but starts off with a Jimi Hendrix sample. And then goes into a sample from, God, who the hell was it? I can't think of the name. It'll come to me later. It doesn't matter. But yeah, it's one of those tracks that, the whole crew is in there. And if you listen to the song now, it's just one of those songs that whenever it comes on, 100% you always got to be in a good mood. Now, I don't care what happened or, what type of bad mood you're in. If Pass Me By comes on, everything stops and you groove with whoever's next to you. And, everything's right with the world. That's one of those tracks. So, yeah.
Ooh, I love it, because that's exactly what I feel from 93 So Infinity. So it'll be a little good flow into that. Awesome. Keith, what's your first pick?
My first pick is entirely based on being first, on the fact I don't want you to steal it. It's mine.
Okay.
Missy Elliott.
Okay.
I got to get my girl Missy on this.
Thank you.
Like
yeah, yep.
And I'm going to go cliche as fuck, but I don't care because it's a fucking banger. I'm going to go with The Rain. That song is fucking amazing. The Super Duper Fly song. I love that song. So the sample's great. The video is insanity. It's just awesome. I love that song. So yeah, not a lot to say. One thing I've talked about a lot, this is almost like my catchphrase at this point. 90s were the best time to be a female hip hop artist, except for maybe right now. Because we got Megan and Cardi and, so, but, and Missy was different than all of them.
Oh, yeah.
And the queen of them all. There's no disputing that to me. So, yeah, Missy Elliott, The Rain.
Rain, fuck, yes. Cool. My second pick, this will be my one repeatsies, because we only had 2 last time. So, how could I not? It has, God, one of my favorite songs of all time. Steve Biko, Tribe Called Quest. Those trumpets, and then again, it has to be with the DJing, and the MCs just have to be perfectly, almost like in sync, like ready to just like take the baton over, pass it over. I fucking love that. Again, one of those that's not really, that there's really no chorus to it. It's just more like this little repetition, like the represent, zent, like how they repeat that over and over is like the hook of the song, but they each get their own set of verses, and they're just like, they're literally talking to each other. It's like one presents his, and it's literally what the other person is just like, it's replying back, not copying back, they're just replying back. But I love that that's really just more of a conversation that they're having. I just love all that wordplay. It's just like, it's what makes it like hip hop so goddamn fucking cool. Steve Biko is forever one of those great fucking songs. Tribe Called Quest, also from 93. So I have 2 in the early and then 2 for the later 90s. So T-Dog, what's your number 2?
So my next one is going to be for one of my all-time favorite artists, and it's Mos Def. But it's not going to be for any of his albums. It's going to be from an album that he was on by DJ Honda, which was a Japanese DJ back in the day. And the song is Traveling Man. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but it's one of those ones that have like one of the best hooks ever. The song is basically talking about, his life as a traveling MC. Like, you got to get up, travel all the time, do all these shows just to, barely scrape by, and like how, his wife is pissed off at him all the time. And yeah, it's a really great song. It's called Traveling Man. and has one of my favorite hooks of all time. If you ever get a chance to listen to it, I'm sure everybody listening to the show is the whole reason you're listening anyway. Yeah. DJ Honda featuring Mos Def's Traveling Man, one of the greatest hip hop songs of all time. I believe it came out back in like 98. And just one of those songs you can listen to and just always put you in a good mood.
I love this phone's rounds. There's like nothing but happy music here.
Right.
Unless some of these picks might change it around. We'll see. Keith, what is your second pick?
Well, T-Dog just stole Mos Def. So.
No, he stole DJ Honda.
Yeah, but
technically it's a DJ Honda song.
I have a Mos Def song in my back pocket if I need it. So
okay.
I'm gonna move up my number 3 to number 2, and that is for the recently departed DMX. And then there was X was the first rap album I ever had.
Nice.
I love that album. And I'm gonna go with What These Bitches Want because I fucking love that song. Like, it's so good. It's so ridiculous. Like, this album, I just remember, like, imagine this being your first real interaction with hip hop. Is this fucking album? Like, it's just screaming and dogs barking and praying, and I was like, what in the fuck am I listening to? But I fell in love with that album. It's so fucking good. So yeah, What These Bitches Want, I just love that song. It's so good. I know.
No, it's fucking great. It's hip hop, baby. Yes.
So yeah, that's gonna be my number 2 pick.
Awesome. Now going into closing rounds. My second pick is from 1996.
We got 2 more picks, right?
Oh, I know. I said closing rounds.
Oh, okay, good. I was like, you scared me.
My third pick is from 1996, and it's from this beautiful little question. It's, what if hip hop was a band? I'm going with the Roots, and I'm picking What They Do. What They Do is such a cool fucking song. Such a great fucking song. A classic. Like, the Roots, baby. It's the fucking Roots.
Yeah.
And this is just such a smooth song. Like, you can just, there's no other word for it. It just goes down so fucking smooth. Yeah, it's just the Roots. They're just so fucking cool. So What They Do by the Roots from 96. From there, Philadelphia Half-Life. So, album. So, yeah. T-Dog, what is your number 3?
So my number 3 is going to be one of my all-time favorite songs. And I had a hard time, kind of narrowing this down because I had like 40 songs to pick from. But I'm going to go with a song that is always going to be in my playlist. I don't care what happens. And a song that is absolutely 100% going to be the song that everybody dances to if it comes on. I don't care how old you are, whether you're, old lady, young child, infant, very old uncle with one leg. And that's going to be, pause make it more exciting. Did I say that?
Oh, I was like,
nice. So that's going to be sure. That's going to be Sir Mix-a-Lot. Baby Got Back.
Absolutely.
I'd be worried that you stole another one of mine.
And I was going to go a little deeper in that, but I was like, you know what? There was one time, and I'm going to tell you a story. When I was living in Phoenix, I was walking downtown, and I was a grown adult at the time. I had, somebody I was dating at the time. I lived on my own, had my own apartment or whatever. And we were walking, across the street to get to some restaurant or something. And there was a car at the stop sign that was literally playing Baby Got Back. And I stopped in the middle of the crosswalk just to drop it in front of this car. And instead of honking to get me out of their way, they got out the car, started dancing with me. And everybody around us just started losing their minds because that's how good the song is. And I challenge anybody to be anywhere in public and have that song come on and not want to shake your ass. I don't care who you are. It can't happen. If you don't shake your ass and that song comes on, then you're dead inside.
And that, beautiful people, new listeners, is why I missed this man so much. There's so many story times I've missed from this man. And that is one of my favorite ones because, fuck yeah, this man has an infectious mood to just make you want to dance. And I cannot wait to be around that aura. Man. Dude, buddy, I fucking love you.
I love you too, man. There'll be a lot of booty clapping going on.
Yes.
And a whole lot of handstands is all I'm saying.
Fuck yeah. Awesome. Okay. Keith, your third pick.
I'm going to pick one that I'm really glad T-Dog didn't pick because I was genuinely worried this was going to happen. Before the show started, I was worried T-Dog was going to take this one from me because I know how much he appreciates this group. Arguably the most influential group in the 90s hip-hop besides NWA, the Fugees.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to go with Ready or Not. I fucking love that.
Good one.
Yes.
It's so fucking good. We've talked about them on the show before and how it's such a shame we got so little from the group itself. But they all went on and were badasses on their own, so it doesn't really matter. So, but yeah, that song's just fucking great. It's just, and Lauryn Hill's voice, man, it's just incredible. Like she's so fucking talented. Like, so yeah,
she is, man. She's one of those like ridiculous talents that you just like sit there and get pissed off that how talented she is. I'm like, fuck, there's a good song. God damn it, I love it.
Yeah, so that's gonna be my pick. Yeah, Ready or Not by the Fugees.
Excellent.
Nice.
All right, now getting down to the last songs. Okay, wait, just making sure it's not a part of this one because I knew it wasn't. I knew it was a big deal. I knew it was a big deal when it got re-released. So my song is only going to be found as a 2021 release, but it's because it's been a long time coming for the song to be out. And yeah, maybe I did pick on my other picks were a little too happy on purpose so I can get to this very dreadful, sad song that I fucking love, though. It's a great fucking song. My last song is God's Bathroom Floor by Atmosphere. If you have not heard this, it's a great fucking song, dude. The song is about overdose without even being like just obvious about it. It's just like if you're listening to it and how how Slug is setting it up, you're just like, yo, what the fuck? Where are we at? Is the question, and you're at God's Bathroom Floor over some silly mistake. And this song. And so on the re-release, I'm literally gonna rant for a second as I decide what I'm gonna go with, because when you find the single on the re-release on the finally released, it's there's a regular one and then the live version, and it's so funny. You listen to the live version and it's I can't hear what's thrown out, but then because people are throwing out requests, right? And Slug goes, "Yo, somebody just said a song, only a song." Only it's not. I'm gonna take you guys. It's like it's not 10 years old. It's not 12 years old. The song is old enough to fucking have children. Only he didn't call it that. If we're gonna do this right, we're gonna call it by the old name, by its original name, and it's God's Bathroom Floor, and it sounds like this. And I'm like, when the fuck did the song name change? I've only known it as God's Bathroom Floor, so it's fucking dope. So this song did eventually get released. So that's the thing; it eventually did get released, but even then on streaming services, it was never actually released because it's in 1997. Technically, it's 1997 is when he made it and would perform it, and it was actually on the original Overcast. But when you get your Overcast on like your Atmosphere Overcast album on your streaming services, it's not on there. Unless it's actually one of the fucking new names, but that doesn't make any sense either. So then it was actually released on one of his Sad Clown Bad Dubs on his number 7 in 2003. But then it's like, honestly, anything after, was it 8? The next one, 8 or 9, wherever Sunshine is on, anything before that, nobody, streaming services don't give a fuck about adding those because they just care about Sunshine and Forward. So coming into my rant, because the fucking live version is so good. Like that one that comes like in that double single is so good, especially how he sets it up and how old the song is, and then how he's just like has this like cool natural flow to him now after singing it for so many decades. But then you come back to the studio, the original, and that jazzy. It's just so good. So yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, we're going with the studio version. We're going to the original one. I highly encourage everybody to listen to that live one right afterwards, because again, he just has like this natural flow to him that he's able to adapt now after doing it for so many years. But yeah, God's Bathroom Floor, the original by Atmosphere. It's just one of my fucking favorite songs of all time. I know I've said this like twice now, but this one for sure. I just love Atmosphere so goddamn much. So yeah, that's my final pick. Oof, enjoy. T-Dog, what's your last pick?
So my last pick, I was kind of debating on what to go with. Did I go with my favorite song of all time, or did I go with another song? So I decided to go with my favorite song of all time. In case
Right,
my
nice.
last podcast ever. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen to G-Dog? But so
Don't say
the last
You're gonna be back. You're gonna be back.
So my favorite song of all time is by Pete Rock and Seal Smooth, which came out in 1993, called "They Reminisce Over You," and it's just one of those tracks that has a really cool like horn sample and was everything that was good about 90s hip hop. And this song is actually what made me want to do music, because before this,
nice.
being a Mexican kid growing up in Arizona, hip hop to me before I heard this song was cholo rap, which was just like all these sampled with guys talking about their hainas over like a really simplistic beat or flow, or whatever. And this song changed everything. I didn't know hip hop could be like this till I heard this song, and it blew my little mind away. So it's all time going to be my favorite song. So Pete Rock, Seal Smooth, They Reminisce Over You, or as it's called sometimes, just TROY for Trouble T. Roy, which is their homie that had passed away, which is who we dedicate the song to. So yeah, Pete Rock, Seal Smooth, They Reminisce Over You, greatest hip hop song of all time.
Fuck yeah, dude. Definitely want to check this one out.
Mhm.
All right. And Keith, how are you going to close out the page this time?
As always, I do my honorable mentions before the big reveal. Basically, every Mos Def song ever.
Yep.
The one I had on my list was "Do It Now," the one featuring Busta Rhymes from Black on Both Sides.
Oh yeah.
Because I wanted to get Bust on here too. I wanted to get the double. I want to give honorable mention to a band that missed out because it was early 2000s, but I don't think we've ever talked about this band on the show, and I wanted to give them a shout out. Nappy Roots
Oh yeah.
is such a weird hip hop group, and I really dig them. And I remember Aw Nah being everywhere for a year, and just I never got sick of that song, which was really cool. So, also honorable mentions to Eve and Lil Kim. I couldn't decide on a song. That was all it was. So, and also Eve's best stuff is right in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So
I'm actually happy you went with Missy Elliott.
Yeah, that was by the way, what I hinted at earlier. My tendency with 90s hip hop is I go very female when it comes to 90s hip hop.
We had some of the best female hip hop of all time in the 90s, man. So I get that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Miseducation of Lauryn Hill came out in 98. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. So my pick is actually something I picked last time, and it was the first time we realized it wasn't on streaming services and had to do a replacement.
Okay.
But it is on streaming services now.
Nice.
And it's one of my favorite, like, straight up gangster rap songs of all time. Natural Born Killers by Dr. Dre with Ice Cube.
Mm-hmm.
I love that fucking song. The hook
Great
is
song.
so fucking good. Like, and the video is amazing. Them sitting on those thrones, just fucking like, oh my god, they just tear into it. I fucking love that song.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And the beat is fucking hard.
It's so good. Like, dude, like, and it's gangster rap personified. Like, like if you had a big vat of gangster rap and you boiled it for 16 hours, that's the song you come back with. Like, it's that thick. So I just fucking love that song. It's so good. So yeah. Plus, again, as a wrestling fan, that's the song that New Jack came out to in ECW. And the whole bit with New Jack was he'd come out and they'd just play music the entire time he's out. They would never shut it off. So he'd come out and Natural Born Killers would be playing while he's just using a staple gun on people and, just stab people with forks. And that's playing in the background. It's just fucking great. I always think of that when I hear that song. So yeah, that's how I'm going to wrap it up.
Nice. T-Dog, do you have any honorable mentions that didn't make the cut?
I had like 40, so I don't know if you want me to go through them all right now.
Well, we are going to come back to this.
Yeah. So I think I would just save those for like whenever our next episode of this is.
Nice.
And give it there, but like just some groups. I mean, obviously all of the so many in the 90s. So I mean, we didn't have any Gangstar in here. Gangstar got to be mentioned. No De La Soul, they got to be up here sometime too. So there's gonna be another episode of this, and there's gonna be a whole lot of other stuff on that new episode. So yeah.
Oh yeah, these 12 picks do not encapsulate the 90s hip hop. We have to come back for more.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
like my one honorable mention, because for sure I should save some of my surprises for later. But one I have to throw out is the Crossroads, Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Yeah,
have to.
That
Just
one.
have
Do you
to.
have any Death Row on here?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And
There's
that
no
one barely made the
Pac
cut
or,
being
you know-
99.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Fucking cool. All right. So that wraps it up for the jukebox portion. Normally we would be stoked on jumping into the new releases, but we are recording a little bit late. But we've been kind of catching those bye weeks. So Keith, what's gonna come out later this week? Actually, now
I'm looking, and I'm not seeing a lot jumping out at me right away, but I think we're finally getting the Kanye album.
no. Okay.
And if we
care.
don't, I'm done with it, and I'm not going to listen to it. If he does it again, I'm just not going to listen to it. We also got the Demon Slayer, I guess, soundtrack.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So that jumped out at me. I was like, oh, weird. Let's see. Oh, the new Halsey album. I'll have to listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
Churches has a new album.
Okay.
One Republic. I don't really see much else. It like you said, it's a small week for us because it's only going to be 1 week worth.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
did you see anything?
No, because I usually just kind of when it refreshes as it's putting everything new, so it doesn't really look ahead for me that much.
Yeah.
But it's not good. I kind of like the surprises anyway.
Yeah. Casey Musgraves, but she's like the only decent country female singer at this point.
Okay.
I don't know when it's coming out, but we're getting a new Ed Sheeran album soon. Which I love Ed Sheeran. I know that's like a joke, but I do genuinely enjoy Ed Sheeran. Yeah, that's all I'm really seeing.
Okay. So to prep for the next week, what's going to be the episode next week? What do we have lined up?
All right, next week we have one of our more complex ones that we always have little discussions about.
Yes.
Solo projects.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so the rules are artists from group projects that did a solo project. There can be other people in the project, but it has to be their name as this is the project. So
Right.
So Nora Jones wouldn't count because she's always been a solo, basically.
Right.
Dave Matthews
Right.
Band wouldn't count because it's not called Dave Matthews, it's called Dave Matthews Band. So, you know what I mean? Like little things like that. So yeah, literally someone like Paul McCartney would count. Wings would not count because that's a band. You know what I mean? So
What about the? Okay, I'll give you two examples. Joan Jett and the Heartbreakers, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
if and the Heartbreakers, they're a band.
Okay.
Yeah. But it does not have to be a permanent breakup.
Okay. Oh, no, for sure.
It can just be a side project, like Chris Cornell.
Just
randomly
songs
did a solo
from
album.
their solo projects.
Exactly. So
Yeah, cool. Ooh, okay, nice. Gotta start brewing up. Who's gonna be on there for me? Ooh, okay. I'm already thinking of some. No spoilers. So moving on, wrapping it up here. Yeah, that concludes this episode of Jukebox Vertigo. Thank you to the co-host for your great picks. T-Dog, any inserts, plugs, shout-outs you want to throw out?
Just want to say shout out to the human race, man. I'm glad to still be a part of it. Glad to be here with you guys.
Me too.
hell yeah.
Me too. I'm so fucking happy, and I'm like smiling so I don't start tearing up over your dreadfulness and your happiness because I fucking love you, Nate, so much. I missed this. I missed you so goddamn much.
Oh, I love you guys.
He's
too,
really
man.
sick of me.
And Keith, any plugs or shout outs?
Yeah, so you can find me at WHI Podcast Keith on Twitter. That is a reference to our other show, We Have Issues, where we review all the newest comic books that come out every week. Look forward to this next episode, where I might set the record for most comic books ever purchased by a single human being, because we looked at the list, and it's going to be bad.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so you can find the show at WHI Podcast on Twitter, and you can find our producer, Liz, who, I can tease you a little bit, might be making her first Jukebox Vertigo appearance in a couple weeks.
Yes.
And it's going to be chaos. Liz brings chaos everywhere she goes. So,
I cannot wait
so I'm
for this
looking
one.
forward to that. I've already told Josue, you've asked for this. This is you. This is on you. So,
I didn't know
so sorry for this
until I didn't know how bad it was until a different song was suggested after I had agreed with it, and I'm like, no, that's not in the essence of the show.
so I'm excited. You can find her, our producer Liz, at WHI Podcast Liz on Twitter.
Nice.
Shout out to
And thank
Liz.
you. Oh, yes. Shout out to Liz.
Shout out to
And
Liz. I ain't
thank-
talked to Liz forever.
Yeah, dude.
And thank you to the listeners for your continued support on this musical sharing ride. You can follow this show at Jukebox Vertigo on Twitter, and me as well on Twitter at Josue Rees Josue, and follow Kikili Media for all geek shows adjacent. And yeah, coming back to Jukebox Vertigo, where a public playlist will be updated and shared weekly, as well as a short playlist to go with every new episode with our picks. Now let loose with your jams and geek out.
This concludes our broadcast. Beep.